everyone, and welcome to Anne's Family Recipe. Today I'm doing a quick holiday shop with me at Sam's Club, followed by a taste test and review of some of their newest seasonal products. Today's video is in collaboration with my friend Amber. Her channel is called Amber at Home, and she has so much to offer over there. There are breakfast, lunch, and dinner ideas. I recently made a bunch of her freezer meal ideas right before I had my baby, and they were super convenient and incredibly delicious. Also, I really admire the fact that she is fearless when it comes to at-home projects. She's oftentimes showing either on YouTube or on her Instagram home renovation projects, and she's got power tools in her hands and she's not afraid to use them. So I totally respect that about her. I do not do that myself. Lastly, Amber is a Sam's Club connoisseur, in my opinion. She shops there frequently and she shows you what she buys, but gives you honest reviews, which is what I really appreciate. I reached out to her and asked if I could collaborate with her on a Sam's Club taste test, which she shares pretty regularly over on her channel. I'm reviewing 2 frozen appetizers, a side dish, and a dessert today, and I'm gonna use the ranking system that Amber and her husband created. So we're talking about quantity, cost, taste, and ease or amount of time it takes to prepare the dish. After you watch this video, make sure you head over to Amber's channel, which I will link for you in my description box down below so you can watch her review too. We're starting off with a quick shop with me at Sam's Club. Now bear in mind, I had all 5 of my kids with me and it was a Friday afternoon. So I started out really strong at the front of the store and then things got shorter, and then at the end it was non-existent as far as my filming was concerned. But I thought it was fun to capture a few of the new seasonal items that they had in stock. There were gingerbread kits, this awesome looking Cheetos popcorn, and then crunchy Cheetos mix. Their pumpkin pie is awesome. It's under $6 and it's probably twice the size of a regular pumpkin pie. It would feed so many people and it really does taste delicious. They also have these beautiful, sparkly, large-scale outdoor decorations, along with these very ornate garlands. And of course, because they are very in this year, they have these 3-foot-tall gnomes. I thought this pre-lit gingerbread house was really pretty too, and it would look especially magical at nighttime. Sam's Club also carries these miniature Oreo gingerbread houses, which I thought was neat because I have seen this product at Walmart, but it's a full-size gingerbread house, and it's kind of cool that if you have multiple children, they could each get their own miniature house to work on. And then this cereal isn't Christmas related, but it is new and limited edition. They have apple pie and dulce de leche toast crunch, and we tried both of them. We like the dulce de leche the best. And we also tried the Swiss Miss Cocoa Puffs, which were honestly just regular Cocoa Puffs with little crunchy marshmallows in them. Next up was a freezer case filled with appetizers that are all on sale right now. They have spanakopita, which is a phyllo dough Greek-style pastry with spinach and feta cheese inside, bacon-wrapped shrimp. Most of these were between $9 and $10 for a box. There's Chesapeake-style shrimp flatbread, lobster crostini, and bacon-wrapped beef tenderloin, which Amber mentioned she was going to try, so I am super excited to hear what she thinks about these. Also, I realize this has no bearing on what the food is actually going to taste like, but I thought this packaging was exceptionally cute and definitely made me want to try out some of these appetizers. Additionally, around the corner at my store, there was also this mini quiche assortment with ham and Swiss and spinach and cheese quiche, along with crab rangoon, and I picked up a box of each of these. First up we have the crab rangoon, which I tried at a friend's house last year at a party and I really enjoyed, but they were the Costco brand, so I was very curious to try the Sam's Club brand of this appetizer. First of all, something that I really appreciate about all of these frozen appetizers is that they're miniature, so they save me tons of time. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're making something individually for each of your guests, like a bunch of them, it's gonna take a lot more time. So I definitely factored that into my scores that I gave my 2 frozen appetizers. So I prepped these according to the directions on the back of the box. I tried them in the oven and the air fryer. The results were fairly similar. They were crispy on the outside, and then the wonton was a little bit chewy in the middle, and then the filling was super creamy. Just be warned, it gets really hot when you cook them, so you want to allow them to cool a little bit. Also, I wanted to point out that on the back of the box, there's a picture of a sweet chili sauce, and it says it's like a recommended pairing, but that doesn't actually come in the packaging. Sometimes with frozen food, you'll get the main item and then a little packet of sauce that comes with it. This does not. So the next day we had some left over, and I went out and bought a sweet and sour sauce to eat with them, and that paired really nicely. Just something sort of sweet and tangy to cut through the richness of this appetizer. For quantity, I gave it 5 out of 5. Crab rangoon is not something that I would make on my own. I could, but I wouldn't want to, especially if I was entertaining. Because like I said before, with little miniature appetizers, you're making a ton to feed your guests, it just takes time. So I think 24 for about $10 a box is a good deal. And then that leads us into cost. I also gave this a 5 out of 5 for cost because again, it's saving me tons of time, the quality was excellent, and there were a lot in there. For taste, I rated these a 4 out of 5. I wish there was a little more filling. It has a slight oniony flavor, which I enjoy, but not everybody does, so I just wanted to point that out. Also, the fact that it doesn't include the sauce, I had to kind of add that, and I thought that elevated the taste. But unto themselves, a solid 4 out of 5. And lastly, for ease and time, I gave them a 4 out of 5. If you're heating them up in the oven, you have to preheat your oven, and then they take about 15 minutes with you flipping them halfway through. The air fryer is a little bit faster. It's only about 10 minutes at 350 degrees, but my air fryer is definitely smaller than my oven, so I would have to cook these in a few batches if I was feeding a crowd. So overall, my crab rangoon scored a 4 out of 5. This is a really tasty appetizer, a little bit fancier because it incorporates seafood, and my kids really like them too. They love that creamy filling in the middle, so highly recommend. The second appetizer I tried was the mini quiches. So this included ham and cheese and then a kind of spinach Florentine style quiche. Spoiler alert, I loved these very, very much. Just like with the crab rangoon, I tried cooking these in every way that I could that was listed on the back of the box. And then some, actually, because I don't think it gives the air fryer instructions, but I did try them in my air fryer. You just can't cook them too high because they get very brown on the outside before they cook completely on the inside. But they have a very nice texture in the air fryer. I thought they were delicious out of the oven, super crispy. The pastry crust on the outside was nice and flaky. However, if you pop them in the microwave for about 1 minute and 45 seconds, put them on top of a paper towel so that absorbs a little bit of the moisture, they were delicious and super duper fast. So with all the extra quiches, I was eating those for lunch on a daily basis until we ran out. But it was a really fast and easy lunch. Okay, my rankings are for quantity. There are 48 in a box, definite 5 out of 5. This is something that I wouldn't make tiny individual quiches for each of my guests. Tons of them, so this would save you tons of time, and for the quality, it is an excellent quantity and an excellent cost. Again, this appetizer was about $10 for the box of 48, so I think that was a great deal. For taste, I also gave them a 5 out of 5. I love these quiches. I do want to mention that both quiches had onion in them. And I know that Amber doesn't typically cook with onions, so I'm not sure if this would be ideal for her family, but I love that taste, so I like that both of them incorporated that. The spinach one had a really pronounced spinach flavor, which made it healthier, right? I don't know. But it tasted delicious. The ham and cheese one was really good too. For ease and time, I also gave this a 5 out of 5. Now I would say maybe a 4 out of 5 if you're using your oven, just because you have to factor in preheating the oven, heating up your house with the oven on if you want these to be warm right when your guests arrive, and they take a little bit longer to bake in the oven. But honestly, if you weren't serving too many people and you wanted to just microwave these, they would be delicious. Or they are very tasty in the air fryer, and you can cook them around 350 degrees. But again, like my crab rangoon, you might have to do them in a couple of batches because the air fryer is so much smaller than the oven. Overall though, the mini quiche scored a 5 out of 5. Next up is the prepared macaroni and cheese. So this we actually served for dinner that night. So we were taking kind of larger portions for ourselves, but I think this would serve probably 6 adults as a side dish. And this wasn't my favorite, but when you break it down, there were a lot of things that I did enjoy about it. First of all, for being a prepared food, the texture of the pasta was excellent. It wasn't overcooked or mushy. It still had almost an al dente texture, which I really appreciated. Also, the sauce, there was tons of it. It was ultra creamy, and then it had shredded cheese sprinkled over top for added cheesiness. This one came in a metal tin, so you pop the plastic lid off and you can just put the tin into your preheated oven and it baked right in there, which was convenient. However, as far as time goes, you had to preheat the oven first, and then it suggested, I think, about 45 to 50 minutes, but after 45 minutes, ours was still pretty cool in the center, so it took a really long time to bake. Sometimes I make mac and cheese on the stovetop, which goes pretty quickly. If I do bake it, it would take about the same amount of time, maybe like 30 to 40 minutes, but the idea of this being a convenience product, I didn't like that it took such a long time to cook in the oven. Maybe if you pulled it out of the fridge prior and allowed it to come to room temperature a little bit more, that would speed up the baking time, but being that it was in the metal tin, I couldn't pop it in the microwave to kind of finish it off, so it did take a lot of time. So for quantity, I gave this macaroni and cheese a 4 out of 5. It was a good amount, and especially if you're using this as a side dish, I think you could feed about 6 adults with this easily, and for the price, it was a reasonable quantity. If you were serving a bunch of kids mac and cheese, you could buy so many more boxes of like Kraft mac and cheese for a way cheaper price, and you get a lot more product. But this is much higher quality macaroni and cheese. Now for cost, I gave it a 4 out of 5 because I think it was under $5 for this amount, and again, the quality was excellent. So I was surprised to see how little it cost for this amount of food. For taste, this is totally my personal preference, but I gave it a 2 out of 5. And this is because of the mixture of cheeses in the macaroni and cheese. It was a mix of cheddar and American and Parmesan, and it had a very pronounced savory quality, kind of if you were to make macaroni and cheese with like all American cheese or Velveeta cheese. That just has a different flavor than if you were to use all cheddar. And I prefer a macaroni and cheese with all cheddar. It's more tangy and salty and less savory. So for me, after a few bites, I was kind of over it and I didn't want to eat my large portion that we were eating for dinner. But as a little side dish, it definitely comes through as far as being ultra creamy, cheesy, high quality pasta. But just the flavor of the cheese wasn't my favorite. And then lastly, for ease and time, I also gave it a 2 out of 5. Just because I didn't like the taste of it that much, I didn't think it was worth baking it for almost an hour for the finished product. So the overall score for my macaroni and cheese was a 3 out of 5. And you might really enjoy the taste of this, so it would rank a little bit higher if you tried it out. But for me, it was just kind of average. Last but not least was this massive holiday cookie tray. You get 60 cookies in 5 different flavors, and I could not resist this because the flavors sounded so unique and delicious. All of the cookies have an incredible chewy texture. I love that kind of cookie. They were ever so slightly crisp on the outside and then super chewy on the inside, and they stayed that way for days. As long as you're closing the lid properly, they stayed fresh for a really long time, so I appreciated that too. And we couldn't eat 60 cookies. Well, we could, but I didn't want to eat 60 cookies, so I froze 2 bags. My husband took some to a work party, and then I saved some for a friend who just had a baby. And they, of course, they'll stay really fresh if you freeze them right away too. So first of all, I'll tell you about each individual flavor. The peanut butter were delicious. I never make peanut butter cookies for myself. They're not my favorite. However, these didn't have that sugary coating on the outside, and additionally, they had peanut butter chips on the inside, which I loved. So these were actually one of my favorite cookies in the entire collection. The hot chocolate cookies were another favorite of mine. They had a really rich chocolatey flavor, and the mini marshmallows actually stayed kind of fluffy. I've baked with marshmallows before in cookies, and they kind of melted and got sort of chewy and tough, and I didn't love that, but I'm not sure how they did it in these cookies. The texture was really good though of the marshmallows, so those tasted great. The caramel apple was the surprise hit of the collection. My husband and I love these. They're quite sweet, but they have little bits of caramel in them, and apple, and pecans, but they had an awesome flavor and were a very unique addition to this grouping of cookies. Unfortunately, we did not like the red velvet. I didn't think they were anything special. They had kind of a funny aftertaste to me. Some of my kids liked them, so I was glad that they would eat them, but aside from them having that amazing chewy texture, I did not like the taste of those at all. Also, I didn't like the cranberry spice. They had a super strong nutmeg flavor. It was just overpowering, and it honestly made me not want to eat them. So overall for the scores, for quantity, you got 60 cookies in the box. I gave this a 5 out of 5. That's a ton of cookies, particularly being that you're getting 5 different flavors. For cost, it's $20 for the box of cookies. I gave that a 4 out of 5. Of course, you could come up with a less expensive dessert. However, if each person gets one cookie, that's feeding 60 people. So really, that's a great price for the amount that you're getting and the quality too. The only thing that kind of brought my score down was for the taste. I gave them a 3 out of 5. There were only 3 cookies that I really enjoyed. The other 2 I really wouldn't have wanted to eat at all. But you never know what flavors people are gonna enjoy, so it is nice to offer a variety. And lastly, for ease and time, of course it's got a 5 out of 5. I bought the box, I opened the lid, and dessert was served. So overall, the holiday cookie tray got a 4 out of 5. The texture of these cookies is incredible. I would even recommend, if there's a specific flavor of cookie you like, just buying a whole tray of that at Sam's Club. They have like oatmeal raisin, chocolate chip. They have these really delicious, I think they're called circus cookies. There's a slightly pink color and they have white chocolate chips in them. They almost taste like a funfetti cupcake meets a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie, but there's no nuts in them. They are delicious. So that's another flavor I would recommend. So overall, I love the Sam's Club cookies. It was just this combination of flavors that was kind of hit or miss. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram at Anne's Family Recipe, check out Amber's review, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked my review here today. Thank you so much for joining me here in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon.